What's happening, business management students? This is Mr. Argueta coming to you week number 5. Well done. We passed the midterm. For the most part, you guys did a pretty good job. Well done. Everybody seemed to be prepared. No crazy stories, so I appreciate that. Made my process a lot easier. Um, as I mentioned in the past, the drop grade automatically gets processed, so you don't have to do anything about it. It doesn't literally drop the grade from your grade book. Your grade will stay there. It just doesn't count it on your final grade is what it does. So I received a couple emails saying, hey, my grade's still showing up. It's still going to show up. It's not going to delete your grade. It's not going to delete your work. It's only going to block it from impacting your overall grade. That being said, we are in week number 5 in Principles of Management. It is getting nice outside. I will say this weekend was pretty nice day, kind of relaxed weather, no crazy weather, so I was excited about that. Let's see, what else can I share with you guys? As always, guys, stay hydrated. There's my water for the day. Stay hydrated. Yesterday, I drank 2 full cups of coffee and a double shot, which created a situation where I was dehydrated. So today, I am reinvigorated in drinking more water than coffee. So that's my 1.5 liter bottle. I should have that down here within the next couple of hours. But anyhow, let's get to business. This week, we are going to be talking about the difference between management and leadership. Now, I think there's a little bit of confusion, and it's interesting because in every interview I've ever conducted within management, this is a question that comes up. They'll ask you, what's the difference between a manager and a leader? And hopefully you'll get to read some of that and you'll get to understand it in regards to what's the differentiating factor? Excuse me. Oh, that's the lack of another cup of coffee. What's the differentiating factors between a manager and a leader? And chapter 10 really goes into that in detail. And then the video I provided is the American Express CEO. He's now retired, but this guy was a visionary. He was really smart. Gentleman that ran the company for a long time. And what I want you to identify is that within yourself, don't view one better than the other. And a lot of people make that mistake. They assume, and please, for the love of all that is good, don't tell me the difference between a manager and a leader is a manager manages and a leader leads. We're at a professional level at this time, so I expect you to put some effort into it. And also, please keep in mind, do your own work. I really need to emphasize that the system flags anything that seems to be off. I will say, man, I had a student in one of our classes that did such a phenomenal job. I'm talking about such a phenomenal job on her SWOT analysis of target that the system thought it wasn't true. It had to be done artificially. So I am just kudos to you, man. I'm so proud to be a part of your journey, and by no means am I taking any credit of anything that you've accomplished, but wow, it was so awesome to be in that situation, to see that type of work being produced right now at this point in your journey with business management. You know who you are, and I wish you the very best in this career because you are going to kill it. That said, I do read, guys. I do read the discussions. I do go through this because this is where I know if you're understanding the material or you're not. And I've said this before. So please make sure you're putting some effort into it. It is your work. I need it to be your work. So that said, getting off my soapbox here, a lot of people mistaken the terms manager and leader as to one being greater than the other, but they're not. You're going to find that when you're interviewing for jobs, there's going to be situations where a position requires a manager, a good manager, someone to continuously produce something at a successful rate. And then some jobs are going to require someone to transform, to lead. And you're going to go through a course in this program called Leadership, where you break this concept down even further as to styles of leadership, ideas of leadership, concepts of leadership. So I'm excited for you to get to that point. But in this discussion, what I want you to identify is not only the difference, but what you've seen in your life. in your work environment, the managers that have been good and what they have done, and the leaders that have been good. Some certain situations require someone to have both of those skills. But you need to understand that it's not one is greater than the other. They're both needed in the world of business. They're both needed in the world of any position. Sometimes we need good managers to handle situations properly, and sometimes we need vision and leadership and examples and all that good stuff. So I'm excited to read your post. Other than that, next week's week number 6, which is my favorite discussion, and I'll tell you a little bit about it, and then I'll let you, wait till next week to do it. But basically, this book that I came across when I was in my undergrad really started the concept for me of becoming a teacher. It really impacted me tremendously. My wife was the first one that kind of tossed the idea out after being out of work for about 5 years. I had sold a company, and then we had moved here from Chicago, and we took some time off, and then she basically brought up the thought of like, why don't you teach business? And that sort of those two things sort of combined helped me sort of open my eyes to that concept. Um, that said, that being said, Randy Potash was a professor in Carnegie Mellon, and Carnegie Mellon at the time had a circuit, sort of a series of conversations they would have called the last lecture. And what it was it gave the instructor an opportunity that if he had one more opportunity to speak to a student body, what would be the last things that he told them? And I found this interesting because when I was early on in my college career, early on while I was a student, I took a class where I was still trying to figure out my role. I took a class that really impacted me on speech, and it was the concept of creating your own obituary, which I thought was at the time the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Like, why would someone be so sad and depressing to create your own obituary? So our speech class was to read our own obituary for speech. And I really, it impacted me so much to create my own obituary, to say it out loud and to say what I wanted people to know me for and what I accomplished. And at that time, I was still pretty young. I didn't have a lot of accomplishments under my belt, but what I wanted to leave behind as a legacy and what I wanted people to remember me for, it really got me thinking. It sort of created this pathway, this goal in my life, this sort of statement of purpose. What is it that I want life to look like for me? And it helped me. It actually guided me, that speech. It's sort of a Covey mindset where you're saying to yourself, what's, starting with the end in mind. So that's what next week holds for us. And then I also put up there all the time my 2019, I was honored with the Teacher of the Year award in the state of Georgia, and I put up my speech, and you guys can read a little bit of my story. Since that speech, that was 2019, in 2023, so just a year ago, here coming up in March, after about 19 years of waiting for a kidney transplant, I received a call from New York, and I stood in New York for about 3-4 months, and I received a kidney transplant. So you'll see the part prior to the kidney transplant, what my life was like, and then of course now you see me here live. Today's Tuesday. It's about 10:50 in the morning, and I am transplanted and very thankful and grateful to be able to continue this journey. I hope you enjoy this week, and I hope you enjoy next week. The weather seems to be turning better for us, and it's time to get out there. Hopefully, you guys are doing well. You're staying healthy and staying safe. I wish you the very best. We got next week, and then the following week, week number 7, guys, is the end of the semester. We're done. So we just really have one more week after this week of discussion, and then the following week is your 2 chapters and your final exam. So it's coming to an end very quickly. So I appreciate your participation. I hope you the very best. Take care. God bless. We'll see you next time.